Scott and I, we left our 5-year-old at the park all by himself. It's moments like those you go, oh my goodness, how do we do this thing? And they're 5 and we still haven't figured it out.
Girls versus boys, what kind of gender is better to have?
I mean, obviously I'm going to say that boys are better because that's my experience.
With 5 boys and 2 girls, it would have to be another girl.
Now that you had the alarm bells ringing, it was time, you needed to get your butts in motion to get to the hospital. Was it quite the whirlwind that I expected it to be?
It felt like it should have been a bit more of a whirlwind. I think I was running around looking for the whirlwind, and then the next call came in saying, "Where are you?"
So, welcome to the Messy Mummies podcast. This is our first episode, so it's amazing to have the 2 best women that I know in my life. So thank you both for coming.
You're welcome.
So on the left, we have Toni. She is my mother-in-law. I was really, really blessed. I honestly hit the jackpot in mother-in-laws. She is so incredible. She has 2 boys. One of them is obviously my husband. Mm-hmm. I'm the eldest, and she has another younger son, which I'm sure we can talk a little bit about later. And then my mum, the person that I came out of, Corin, you have 4 children, and I am the eldest of all of them. We're going to definitely dive into what a chaotic number 4 is, and even more 7. Thank you guys for coming once again, and thank you for being my guinea pigs. Put up with me, put up with everything that I aspire to do, and so having you on just makes sense, right?
Absolutely.
So, just to ease into things, can you please tell me the greatest moment that you had up until now of being a parent? We're just going to start with you, Toni. Jump right in.
Wow, the greatest moment. I don't think you can supplant the moment that your children are born. There's just something glorious about that moment when they're first put in your arms. And this little person you've been carrying and nurturing and feeling and speaking to and singing to is all of a sudden there, and it's both surreal and wonderful and very strange all at once, especially with your first. I don't think I could say there's one particular moment. I think motherhood is a series of wonderful, beautiful experiences that just build on each other. And I think obviously with our eldest Liam, watching you guys get married and seeing him step out and embrace that next season in his life was very emotional and just beautiful to see that. So that was certainly a pinnacle. Yeah.
What about you, Mum?
I agree that motherhood is definitely not just, you don't have that pinnacle moment. There's just so many highs as well as the lows, but so many highs in it. For me, that moment of seeing you for the first time, I wasn't prepared. And so it was just like, oh my goodness. Oh my God. And I don't usually say that. So, there's been so many different incidences, experiences along the journey that just warm your heart. You just treasure those in your heart. But for me, possibly the biggest thing is actually seeing you as a mum, and it's like, wow, this is amazing. She is amazing.
Well, that's so nice to hear. I'm glad that you think I'm doing an all right job. It would suck if you're like, didn't raise this one well. The next generation's doomed. Yeah, I completely agree with you. Like, there's so many highs and lows, but there's also like so many fails, and like those are definitely some of my favorites to share. You've obviously heard some really whack stories of my mum fails, but I want you to indulge me. We won't jump into the mum fail as much. We won't out you. Not on the first episode anyway. But is there something funny that you've experienced being a mum that you look back on and you're like, oh my goodness, either what was I thinking or what was my child thinking? Is there anything that pops out to either of you that you're like, oh, yeah, that will be a story?
Not yet.
No. Wow, I thought your daughter joining a cult by accident would have been a good one, but
I'm trying to think about you specifically.
Yeah, I'm not the daughter, just to be very clear. Nothing for Liam. He's just too good a son, isn't he?
He's just amazing, and I'm totally unbiased.
Yeah.
You know,
What about your younger son? I mean, there's definitely a lot of stories there.
There are. Eli is both incredible and unique all at the same time. But I think one of the moments with Liam in particular, he was 5, and Scott and I, my husband, we had what you could potentially call a terrible parenting fail. And he was at football practice with him. And I was there and Scott was there, and we finished practice, and so I was leaving, and so Liam ran after me, and I said, well, Daddy's not leaving yet. Do you want to come with me or do you want to stay with Daddy? Oh, I'll stay with Daddy. So he turned around and ran back to where Scott was, but Scott didn't know that he was staying. And so consequently he left the park, I left the park. We got home and I went, where's Liam? He said, I don't know, he's with you. No. So we left our 5-year-old at the park all by himself. And then when we turned up there, he was just sitting there on the bench playing. He was quite happy. But yeah, it's moments like those you go, oh my goodness, how do we do this thing? And, you know, they're 5 and we still haven't figured it out.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Do you ever figure it out? I mean, you both have a grown child in your case and grown children in your case, although I would argue that some of them aren't very mentally grown. But do they ever grow up? Do we ever grow up? Or is it just a learning process at every stage and you're just trying to figure it out and making fails left, right and centre?
I'm wondering the same thing for myself. Yeah. It's great watching the development, and that's what you're looking for, is those developmental steps. Do we actually get there?
Yeah.
Well, I think God only knows that one.
Hopefully by the time we die.
I mean, I see my parents and they're still definitely growing.
Yeah. We love Nana Liz and Granddad Mervyn. They've got it. Well, I guess the great thing about, you know, talking is we don't have to feel ashamed of things that don't go so well. You know, we call them mum fails, but really I think as long as you don't give up and you're trying to meet the basic needs of your kid, like, you're not a failure. You're doing well. You're doing what you should be doing. And it's only building upon there that you become a great parent. But, you know, failing is only when you give up. It's when you stop and you decide that you're not going to continue doing what you should be doing as a parent. So we talk about mum fails, but really we're all, I believe everyone here is succeeding as a parent and has done an awesome job so far, hopefully. But I kind of want to dive into a little bit more about your experiences as a mum. You know, everyone's so unique. It's not something that, you know, is a copy and paste mold for everyone. And so I kind of want to dive into a little bit of what was your experience when you became a mum. We talked about it a little bit before, but, you know, what was it like being pregnant for the first time and carrying the baby up until, the waters break or it's go time and you have to push this baby out of you, and becoming that mum? How did it feel? You know, so Mum, I was wondering if you could start. Brutally honest, I can take it.
So, being pregnant for the first time was a surprise. It wasn't planned. It was nowhere near on the radar. I was still dealing with lots of personal stuff in my life. So it was a shock to the system. But immediately there was that fierce, I'm going to have a baby and I am going to have this baby.
Yeah. So it was a shock to the system. You know, you weren't prepared for it. You had a lot going on. How did that kind of feel, knowing that you were going to become a mum? Like it was imminent, it was growing, this baby was growing inside of you.
I had gone into family planning and they had said you could be pregnant. Here are some pills to take. And that was a really hard one because I was in no way wanting to be pregnant. I never intended to even go there before I was married, and yet ended up in that position.
Yeah.
And I did take, they gave me 25 little tablets to take there, and I did take them. And then a bit later, another 25 tablets, like 12 hours later or 8 hours later or something. And they told me that if I wasn't pregnant already, that it would likely stop me getting pregnant. And if I was, it wouldn't do anything.
It wouldn't hurt the baby.
Yeah. And so I would just prayed. I spent a month praying, God, please, if there was life, don't let it be harmed. And so when I found out that I was actually pregnant, there was once again that, oh my God, which I don't usually say. But just the, God, you need to help me. I can't do this on my own.
Yeah.
And so I was delighted to find out that I was pregnant, because I would never have that question in my head of did I actually stop life? And yeah, so it was a bit of a roller coaster, but there was one thing I was always firm on, and that's I was having this baby. I didn't know what it would look like. I wasn't prepared in the slightest, but I was determined. And then to have you born, they say that unplanned babies are often the biggest blessing, and you have been.
That's nice. I often joke that I'm the reason that you had more, because I was just so amazing. You had to experience it for another time. But that's really hard going into, what you would consider people that are trustworthy with your experience, something that you are not familiar with, you're seeking guidance on, and them giving you pills. Did they ever explain to you truly what they were and what the outcomes could be?
They gave me a small explanation. This is before the internet was around, so I couldn't just Google it or anything like that. I was really ashamed, and so I didn't really talk to other people about it, and they really put the pressure on. You need to decide now. You've got 5 minutes.
Oh, wow.
And so that was super hard.
Yeah. I find that, there are so many scenarios even today where we do have the internet, that you get into circumstances, especially in the healthcare system, where you're given an explanation of something, but there does feel like an underlying bias of what you should be doing or what you shouldn't be doing. And we won't dive too much into those things because it's not that kind of podcast, but I'm sure as someone who was obviously aware that they could be a mum at that point in time, it would have been really scary. And I really feel for how you were going through that, but by yourself. Did you go by yourself?
I was by myself, and I did make a phone call then.
Yeah.
But that, was all the time that I had. And I think that if I had been outside of that room and had a bit more of a chance to think about things, that maybe I would have decided something different. But I'm just grateful to God during that time that He was sovereign and that you're here.
Yeah. Well, I am too. I feel like, there will be so many people listening to this who have either gone through a similar thing or have potentially gone through with ending a pregnancy, or those people who weren't aware of what was really going on or how to deal with it, and felt the pressure of an unexpected baby. And I'm sure there's probably a lot of guilt around that, especially coming to the reality of the fact that there is not only a life there, but there is the potential of a future life for them. And I'm sure that probably hits a lot of viewers like really hard to experience that. But I think, like you. It's not about where you've been, it's where you are and where you're going. And so knowing that, people make the best decisions they can in the situations that they're in and with the information that they do have at the time. And I think it's so important as mums that we give ourselves some grace. It's hard. It's hard, especially when all of those hormones are pulsing through your body and you feel so out of control, that we do just take a beat to go, I'm not going to make all the right decisions, but I'm doing my best, and have grace for that. Yeah. How did you find that journey of grace for yourself going through that pregnancy?
It wasn't so much about what had happened. It was definitely more about the future, and actually making the most of the situation that I was in.
Yeah.
And I can't say I probably did that, but I tried.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was, I don't know.
What about you, Toni? How was your pregnancy? Was it expected? Was it unexpected? Obviously, I know the answer, but could you share a little bit more about how you found that experience?
Yeah. So Liam was definitely, he was an expected and planned baby. When my husband and I got married, we were going to wait probably 8-10 years. We wanted to travel and get our careers established, and so we married quite young. I was 20, and so we didn't plan on children until late 20s, early 30s. And and then I'd had some ongoing medical issues, and we both went and had some fertility testing, and I had endometriosis, and Scott had some other challenges around fertility, and so the doctors said to us, if you want to have children, it's something you need to explore now. And so we kind of had to sit down and revise our plans and reset our priorities, and so we started trying for a baby, and we fell pregnant with our first little baby girl. And then in the second trimester, I miscarried her, and that was incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
And then within probably 8 months, we fell pregnant with Liam, and then he was born when I was 24, and so it was definitely a roller coaster journey. Leading up to that time of him coming, and just, it made my pregnancy, I loved being pregnant, but I was quite anxious throughout my pregnancy. And we had a number of issues, with him while I was carrying him. And so I think just that desperation of wanting him so badly, and wanting to do everything right, wanting to eat all the right things, exercise the right way, not do anything wrong with my body, and every twinge and every pain was a moment of panic. And it was a challenging experience, and there's lots of mums that miscarriage is a common thing, more than we talk about, and I think there's not enough conversations about it, for women to understand what that is and what that looks like.
And it's a big conversation as well.
It's a really big conversation.
A hard conversation as well.
Yeah.
Well, I so appreciate you guys being so vulnerable. I mean, here it's you and I, but beyond that, that this information is going to other people, and it makes you vulnerable. But I think vulnerability breeds vulnerability, and it's time that us as mums start having these conversations, because it's not easy. And often when you hold them all in, it can feel really isolating. It makes you feel that no one understands what you're going through. No one could possibly be feeling the same way that you're feeling. But the fact is, we all go through really difficult things. And the more that we talk about the hard things, the more we feel connected and understood, and ultimately not alone. And we know that we're not alone as Christians, but, it's something that a lot of people don't have. And so, yeah, I really, really appreciate you guys being so open and honest about your experiences, because it's that one person who feels a little bit more understood that we're going after. Alrighty. Well, I feel like after that really awesome discussion, we should get into something maybe a little bit lighter, something that gets you thinking and maybe causes a little bit of fun tension. And that's, girls versus boys. What kind of gender is better to have? And I know I'm putting you in a bit of a weird spot, Mum, because you had both, 2 of both actually, but I'm sure you can paint a really good picture of the difference between each of them. But yeah, so we're going to start with you. You had 2 girls and 2 boys. What do you see as the main differences between them and the benefits and the not so great parts of each gender?
So being able to understand girls, I find a lot easier because they tell you. It may have a whole heap of emotions mixed in, but they're still communicating with you. Boys, yeah, they do things differently, it seems. And I always struggled because I just had no idea what really was going on. And the answers didn't necessarily give me answers either.
Yeah. And you've expressed to me, Toni, that you're glad you didn't have girls because you don't know what you do with them. And now you have me, so it makes everything better. But what did you find the best thing about having boys? And what were your fears about having a girl?
I don't know if I'd actually really thought about it too much at the beginning, but I'm not a girly girl, as you know. The first time I really wore pink with flowers was to your wedding. So I don't know, I think we just felt more comfortable with the idea of boys. We're pretty pragmatic parents, and so, yeah, we were blessed with 2 beautiful boys. And, I have a number of nieces that I was able to, paint nails with and do hair and all that kind of stuff.
Play Barbie
but
dolls.
it wasn't my comfort zone. It's not my space. And so I'd much rather get out and play handball and football and, that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, when you came along into our life, it was both a wonderful pleasure and a shock because I had no idea how to deal with girls, really.
It was quite the whirlwind for you.
Yes. And so, yeah, we just, obviously I'm going to say that boys are better, but that's because that's my experience.
Yeah, that's fair. Until you met me, and then it all changed, right?
Of course.
Yeah. And what would you say if you were to have another baby? Would you have your fingers crossed for a certain one?
Well, with now 5 boys in our family and 2 girls, it would have to be another girl.
Oh, okay. No bias there.
Balance out the hormones a bit.
Yeah, I like that.
As if.
So, you're not only parents, but you're also grandparents. And I'm just wondering, what was your reaction to us getting pregnant? Was it as fast as you thought we would? Did you expect us to react to it the way that we did? And how did it feel for you as you became a grandparent? That was the first time that you realized that there was another generation coming along. So how did that feel? What was that like for you?
Coming from a line of fertile females, I was glad at the timing of becoming a grandparent. I think that if a boy looks at a girl in our family, that it could be trouble, and I'm wrong. So that's awesome. I was delighted to know that you guys were expecting. And I knew that you wanted to be a young mum, and just so excited about it happening.
Yeah. Did you expect, obviously, every time I came round to your place, you were like, are you pregnant?
Yeah, Tease.
Yeah. And then the time that I did find out I was pregnant, we were, I think the day before, it was Mother's Day. My sister Jasmine and I and yourself, we were in the spa, and Jasmine made the comment, she's like, whoa, your boobs look really big. Something happened? Are you pregnant? And I said, no, not pregnant. And, there was that conversation there like the day before. And so afterwards it was like, well, I lied, but I had no idea that I was lying because in my mind it was absolutely not even on the table. It wasn't even a question about it. But obviously you knew. you both knew. What about you, Toni? What was it like finding out that your son was going to be a dad?
It was amazing. We did suspect that it would be earlier than what you guys had talked about for the fertility reasons, but also just because we knew that you both really wanted to be younger parents, that both of you desired, to kind of grow up with your children and not wait too long, even though, you talked about waiting a little bit longer. And it was super exciting. And I know when you called us and, we're halfway across the world and we were just about to go into a meeting with our team. And so then we had to contain ourselves. And so we kind of sat there for the whole meeting with our team. And I don't think I paid any attention to anything. Scott had to lead the whole thing. But yeah, it was just really, really exciting. And I don't even think I thought about the fact that meant I was going to be a grandparent. I was just excited that you were expecting. And It wasn't until a little bit later we thought, oh, that means we're going to be grandparents. Yeah. Oh my goodness, we're not even 50. Like, what does that look like? So, it was wonderful.
And I guess coming with the territory of becoming a grandparent, you get to pick out names. How did you guys pick out your names?
I didn't. I chose, but I got chosen for.
So obviously I told you that you were going to be Nana because it was just the generational thing. But, you had been saying for a number of years if you were going to be a grandparent, your name would be Nana. So I'm not sure if I picked it or maybe just picked up on it and helped you with the decision.
It's difficult when my mum is Nana and I'm not my mum.
Yeah. I've decided that we're going to call your mum Grana because she's the great Nana, and it just makes it a little bit easier when she's around. So you're not hearing Nana and going, who is it? Is it me? Is it you? And what about you, Toni?
We had quite a discussion about it over a period of time because we knew there was a nana and a nan and a grandma and all of those things. And so it was, okay, so where do we go with that? And having, different names and knowing that ultimately as she begins to speak that she'll probably call us different things. And so it was really led by, Scott initially, he wanted to be Pop. He was set on Pop. And so our youngest, Eli, said, well, why don't you be Lolly? Because that would be really cute because you could be Lollipop. And I thought, well, yeah, that sounds cute, but I don't know if I want to be called Lolly. So we ended up settling for myself on Gigi.
Yeah, the day that she was born because you could not decide.
Well, it was kind of in the back of my mind. And once she arrived, I thought, well, I need to actually make up my mind.
Yeah, that's
because you need to refer to me as something. And so, yeah.
That's fair. Well, the cool thing about becoming grandparents is that you have another person to, look after, but you don't have to be responsible for the nappy changes, the crying, the tantrums, the sleepless nights. Obviously, you've hit the jackpot on that side of things, becoming a grandparent. But you guys got a unique experience that not a lot of grandparents get. And that's being in the delivery room when I gave birth to Aria. And I wanna know, like, how did you feel in the moment that I asked you? Were you expecting it?
I was surprised because it wasn't something that I thought would happen. But I like to make your wishes come true.
You make me sound like a narcissist.
No, you just know what you want, and you're pretty good with that. So.
Yeah, I'm determined. We can say the word.
And yeah, so I was happy to be there and privileged, really privileged. Yeah, it was not what I expected, but then I didn't know what I expected.
Yeah. And I guess some background on you being in medical spaces with me is you always end up on the floor.
Yeah, I support holding a hand from the ground. Yeah, and I didn't disappoint. I spent some floor time too.
Yeah, you did. You followed through. Exactly our expectations.
Yeah.
But you did spend some time by my head as well in the moments of the agony. But yeah, cool. Well, what about you, Toni?
Totally unexpected, of course. I was taken aback when you asked me, and felt incredibly honoured that you would want to invite me into such an intimate moment, not just with you, but also with you and Liam. And then knowing that, Corin would be there as well, I thought, wow, this is going to be a really interesting dynamic. Who's going to take what role, and what does this look like? And so I did spend a lot of time thinking about what my role was in that, and how I could be of greater support, not just to you, but also to Liam. And again, not having any really preconceived expectations, because births just go all over the place. And so you can go in with an idea of what you think it's going to be, and it's not, it doesn't end up that way at all. And so, just really honoured, and I just felt really privileged to be a part.
And I guess the funny thing with you is you live halfway around the world. You live in Cambodia and we're in New Zealand, and it's not exactly you jump on a flight and you're here. And so we played around a lot with the timing of when you come over, because you were going to spend a couple of months with us when you did. And, would she come early? Would she come late? Are we, is it too early and we're wasting time that you could be spending when she arrives here? And so there was a lot of discussion around, exactly when flights would be booked. And it's so funny that it was exactly a week to the day that you landed that she arrived. And I just find that such a blessing that God gave us that, because that's exactly what we had talked about wanting.
Yeah.
And him definitely honouring us in that sense.
Yeah.
And then obviously with so many people in the delivery room, you have to be really aware of, again, the roles that you were kind of talking about. How did you find the way that I delegated the roles? I mean, I was very much like, if you're in my space and if you're going to be there for my birth, you have to stick to how I have things done. I was very structured, and honestly, that was just because I was terrified. And if I had some control over something, then, I would hope that I would feel a little bit more in control of what I couldn't control. And so how did you feel about the role that was given to you and the expectations that I had for you when you were there? I'm going to let Toni actually start this one.
Oh, okay. I felt totally comfortable with it. I think, like I said before, you can have all kinds of plans, but in my head, I wanted to come into it being as flexible as possible, being adaptable as possible. I really wanted, Liam to be that main person for you, and then obviously Corin, floating around as the next person when he needs to take a bit of a breather. And we talked about how, that's where I could, fit in and come alongside Liam and give him some support and encouragement. And then, you don't know how long it's going to go. And so having that opportunity of us kind of, cycling in and out to be present for you too. Yeah. So I just think, it just went so beautifully well, better than I think any of us could have planned or prepared for. And it was just so it was so refreshing an experience to have, those many people in the room, because it was a full space too, and we had all the doctors in there and all of that, and yet it never felt awkward or uncomfortable, and it it was just such a privilege to share that together.
Yeah. What about you, Mum?
You were quite clear about the roles, and that was really helpful, because I knew that I was there for you. and I know that you know your mind, and I was quite happy to follow that. And I, unlike you, Toni, I didn't think about it too much because I thought I'll psych myself out. And it won't happen like that anyway.
Yeah.
So I was quite prepared to just take it as it came.
Yeah.
And the room never felt too full for me. And it was just great having that team that supported you and Liam in the situation, and it worked out really well.
Yeah. I mean, it went so well that I want you at all my pregnancies and all my births. That's in the contract, by the way.
Oh, right.
It's now what you're expected to do. So sorry, but not sorry. If you didn't want it to happen again, it shouldn't have gone so well.
And it was really beautiful seeing a birth like that. I mean, I never, ever expected in my lifetime that I would be part of anyone else's birth.
Yeah. And like, you weren't just a bystander. You were actively down there videoing everything, both of you. And, they had asked me beforehand, is that something that you'd like? Would you like it to be videoed? And I was like, I don't really care. Honestly, it's not what I'm focused on. And they're like, well, we'll video it. And then if you don't like it, you can always delete it. But you can't exactly redo it if you don't have a video initially. And I was surprised at how comfortable I was about the whole thing. And I guess that opened up a lot of opportunity afterwards for you seeing me in very compromising positions because, you had already seen everything. So you can just see everything else. And that was kind of my mantra moving forward with you guys. But, there was quite a funny experience, and I want to walk through the birth side of things. And so I kind of want to start, obviously I've shared the birth story. And so if you haven't seen that, like for those who are listening, like go back and check that part out, that video out. But, I want to go from the moment that you dropped us off at the hospital and you went home because we were anticipating that things would take a bit longer than they did. And so you're going to go home, you're going to have a good sleep. What was running through your brain when you left?
We stayed up and we chatted.
Did puzzles
for a bit.
because we couldn't sleep.
Yeah. The excitement and wonder of what was going to happen, but we finally bedded down and I was like, okay.
And what time was this when you guys went to bed?
About 1 in the morning. I think it was about 1.
1:45,
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So turned off the light and was like, okay, going to sleep, go to sleep. And then Toni came in.
Within a very short period of time. Yes. I think I was just basically closing my eyes when Liam rang. It was within 15, 20 minutes, I think.
Yeah.
And
what did he say to you?
He basically, I could hear you in the background.
Screaming.
And he said, Mum, I'd really appreciate it if you and Corin could come up here as quickly as possible. I said, okay, buddy, I'll go and wake her and we'll head up. And so, it was kind of all on from there.
Yeah. And so now that you had the alarm bells ringing, it was time, you needed to get your butts in motion to get to the hospital. What was that like? Was it quite the whirlwind that I expected it to be?
It felt like it should have been a bit more of a whirlwind. I think I was running around looking for the whirlwind, and then the next call came in saying, where are you?
How long was it between those two phone calls?
Well, we were in the car driving along. I think we were maybe 10 minutes from the hospital at that time. And so probably half an hour by the time we got ourselves out of the house and 15, 20 minutes down the road. Corin was driving. And so, I answered the phone and that was Liam. Are you almost here? Where are you?
And I remember you saying that you felt you hit almost every red light possible. And there's not a lot of lights between the place that we were living at the time and the hospital. We were only like 10 minutes away.
Yeah, 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you get to the hospital. What happens?
I parked the car as Toni was running in. And it seems like all the drama, most of the drama died down by the time I got there.
Yeah. So what about you? You were first into the room.
Yeah, so it was a little bit crazy when I first came in. I think obviously things had started to settle and they'd moved you from the original room into your actual birthing room. But yeah, I kind of walked in and there was a whole lot of chaos and a whole lot of people running around and
what was going through your mind in that moment that you're like, wow, there's a lot happening?
I zoned straight in on Liam and like, where is he and what does he need? Because you had a whole lot of nurses and stuff around you, and so I just basically went over to him and just said what's happening, and he gave me a bit of a rundown of what had happened over the preceding kind of 30, 40 minutes or so, so I could have a sense of where things were at, and then just waiting for Corin to come up at that point, and yeah.
So how did the debriefs go with you guys? Like, obviously you're coming in, you're getting information from Liam, you're coming into a scenario, it's a little bit less chaotic than what Toni came in, but I'm still imagining with a decent amount of people in the room. Obviously I'm still in pain. What did the debrief look like between Liam and yourself or Liam and you?
So when I came in, I think I got directed straight to you. And that's where the years of hospital visits and and difficulty with pain and that kicked in, and so it was go in, talk to you, stroke your forehead.
Yeah, that's the magic button.
And then the information kind of started coming a bit after that. It was difficult to see you in pain. But I knew that you were on the gas, and so you were as happy as you could be at that point in time.
We're not going to dive into that one. Yeah, I kind of explained a little bit about, my experience and what was going on there, but something that I didn't touch on is the fact that there was like a revolving, change of positions with you guys. And it was so, so helpful to have someone that was familiar that I could listen to kind of speak to me, because it's really easy to either get trapped inside yourself during that experience or get lost in the conversations that other people are having in the room. And honestly, I'm not going to go into how much I love that gas, but, I could zone in to every conversation happening in the room. It was like my ears were perfectly in tune, and yeah, it was actually quite terrifying hearing doctors and nurses talking about the experience without you feeling like you had a voice in it. And they were, don't get me wrong, they were an incredible team, so great. They were great with communicating with us, and they did it in such a way that was so comforting to the experience that we were all experiencing. But having that voice to ground you, to bring you safety was absolutely incredible. Was it something that you guys decided to rotate, or what made you tap out and give it to the next person? Because I know that everyone was there for a couple of times.
I think we just kept touching base with one another, didn't we? Like, we just check in and go, how are you doing? Do you need a few minutes to just step back? And it was really kind of quite fluid. And, we would encourage Liam to come in and be present with you as much as he could. And then when we thought that he might need a little bit of breathing space, we'd jump in and say, hey, do you want one of us to jump in? And so, yeah, it was really, really quite organic and fluid.
Yeah. So I guess to finish off, we've talked about this experience, and I'm sure we'll dive in a little bit deeper as I want to interview you both individually. But, you know, what was the best part of it?
Her safe arrival.
Yeah.
Yeah. And seeing you holding her, seeing Liam hold her, that was just incredible.
Yeah.
And finally seeing her.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
she wasn't a pretty sight when she came out, but it was good to see that she was out. I was very grateful for that. What about you, Toni? What was your favorite part of the experience?
I would say the same. Just that moment where she arrived and, you know, when they placed her on your chest, and just that, you know, that glow that was emanating from you and her, and then Liam just watching the two of you, and then him being able to hold her. It was incredibly surreal watching, you know, my son hold his little baby, and in that moment, it was like the culmination of the whole experience, and just the sense of awe at, you know, the beauty and wonder of new life and the next generation, and the hope that's in that, and the potential and the joy. Yeah.
Yeah, you both look like you have glassy eyes. It was such an awesome experience to be a part of, and you know, everyone that I talk to, I'm like, you know, would you ever consider having not only your mum but your mother-in-law in the room with you? And they're like, heck no. So, you know, it is such a unique experience, and like you say, it's incredible that we even have the relationship where all of us could be there and could get along. And it was difficult, you know, preparing yourself for a unique situation like that. You know, no one wants to tread on anyone's toes, but I feel like we were the dream team.
Yeah.
And yeah, just supported each other so well. And so, you know, kind of leading back into being a grandmother, you know, what's one piece of advice from your limited time of being a grandmother that you would give to other people out there, or to mothers in general?
Let the parents set the tone.
I like that personally. What about you, Toni?
Yeah, along the same lines as that, it's knowing our role in your journey as a parent, and being as present and supportive as we can, and understanding that your journey will look different to ours, and that's okay. And yeah, knowing our place in that, and what support looks like and what love looks like for you guys as a new family.
Yeah, well, you guys are already incredible grandparents, and, you know, the very best mums. And I'm very, very grateful to not only have you on the podcast, but just to have you in life. You're definitely one of a kind. You come with your quirks, but yeah, I'm just so thankful for you guys. So thank you so much for being on here, for being vulnerable and raw, but also just, you know, having a conversation that some people aren't willing to have, because it's these conversations that, like I said, pave the way for connection and for people to feel more connected and less alone. So thank you.
Thank you.